Have you ever been in a room where she keeps glancing in your direction and you haven't said a word yet? There's a moment, barely a breath, when the energy shifts and you can feel it in your chest, like the room itself decided to tilt toward you. Most men try to create that moment with lines, tricks, or volume. They talk more, they joke harder, they force presence. But the paradox is brutal. The harder you try to show you're interesting, the less interesting you feel. Desire isn't a debate you win, it's a signal you broadcast. And the strongest signals are quiet. Today, Voy to show you how to trigger her desire without saying a single word, not with gimmicks or games, but with the kind of presence that makes a person relax, lean in, and wonder who you are. If te quedas conmigo hasta el final? Yes, I'm mixing languages on purpose to keep your brain awake. You'll walk away with practices you can use tonight. How to carry yourself so your body speaks confidence. How to use silence like a spotlight. How to read the room without effort, and how to leave at the exact second that turns a good moment into a memory. No pressure, no manipulation, only ethics, respect, and a higher standard for yourself. Because true attraction is a side effect of the life you actually live. The first truth you need is this. Before she hears your voice, she hears your tempo. Tempo is how you place objects on a counter, how you put your shoulders down after opening a door, how long you allow a greeting to breathe. Men who sprint through social moments tell on themselves. They are not present, they are auditioning. Slow down, but not into laziness. Slow into deliberateness. Walk like you know where you're going, not like you're trying to arrive first. When you greet the host, let the handshake land and release, not snap and scatter. When you pick up a glass, don't snatch. Select. These details sound small because they are small, and that's why they matter. Desire is sensitive to micro-signals. Your pace tells a story about your nervous system, and a calm nervous system is the quietest aphrodisiac you'll ever carry. Your eyes are next. Staring feels like grasping. Darting feels like apologizing. Neither is attractive. What draws people in is the eye contact of someone who listens with freedom. Meet the gaze when you're receiving information, release it at the end of your sentence, and return if she returns. This tiny loop communicates everything you want to convey without a syllable. I'm here, I'm comfortable, and you're free. Let your eyes smile a heartbeat before your mouth does. A light that flickers in the gaze rather than a heavy grin. When your eyes smile first, you communicate warmth without performance. You invite without cornering. Pair that with a head tilt of a few degrees when she speaks. A gesture of attention, not submission, and you'll notice how the air around you softens. The body recognizes safety long before the mind recognizes charm. Stillness is the unsung language of desire. Not stiffness. Stiffness is armor. Stillness is command. If your hands are restless, your words will be restless. If your posture collapses, your presence collapses. Stack your body as if someone set a gentle magnet above your head and your spine lengthened to meet it. Feet grounded, ribs over pelvis, jaw relaxed, shoulders released rather than pinned back. When you gesture, gesture once and let it rest. Too many movements make your meaning swim. One clear gesture makes it land. Imagine you're the quietest point in a room of noise. Let the noise swirl and let your stillness be the shoreline. People come to shore when the sea is rough. Your scent and skin tell a story before you do. Keep it simple. Clean is a message, not a fragrance. A modest, consistent scent worn lightly is better than a cloud that arrives before you do. Grooming is not vanity, it's respect for proximity. Trim where you need to trim, moisturize where you need to moisturize, keep your nails cared for. You don't need to be beautiful to be desired. You need to be deliberate. Deliberate people attract because they reduce friction. Everything about them says, being close to me will be easy. Clothing frames your presence. It should not compete with it. Choose pieces that fit your body and your life. Clean lines, one texture with character, shoes that look cared for, a watch you'd still like if no one could see it. This is not about brands, it's about coherence. Coherence is magnetic because it signals that your outside and inside are not at war. Someone who sees thoughtfulness in how you dress will assume thoughtfulness in how you handle time, emotions, plans. That assumption buys you grace, and grace is a runway for desire. Now the part that most men never train. Silence as an active choice, not a gap to escape. When you're with her, at a counter, by a doorway, beside a window, There will be spaces where words could go. Let some of them remain empty. If you fill every moment, you carry the weight of the interaction alone and telegraph that you're afraid of the quiet. If you leave a few spaces, you invite her into the space with you. The brain experiences that invitation as intimacy. The art is to keep the silence warm. How? With your face and your chest. Soften the muscles around your eyes. Keep your sternum open and breathe through your nose in a rhythm that would not embarrass you if it were audible. That physiology whispers, I am not in a rush and I trust this moment. Trust is attractive because it is rare. There's a way to hold objects that signals leadership without any talk. When you take your wallet out, when you place your phone away, when you move a chair or pass a menu, do it with care, not with fuss. Care is different from carefulness. Care says, I notice the world and I respect it. Carefulness says, I'm afraid of breaking something. Your hands can communicate more about your character in 1 minute than your mouth can in 10. Hands that place rather than drop, that offer rather than toss, that rest rather than fidget, tell the truth about how you treat people. People feel that truth even if they can't name it. Distance is its own language. If you step in too far too soon, the body of the other person has to defend itself before it can enjoy you. If you stand too far too long, the body of the other person can't read you. Watch for natural markers, the angle of her shoulders, the direction of her feet, the tilt of her head. If her shoulder opens toward you, if her feet point and stay, if her head tilts and returns, the space is inviting you closer. Accompany that invitation rather than taking it. Move first with your attention, then your body. If the signals recede, recede with them. The ability to match distance without words is politeness at the level of the nervous system, and politeness, when done with a spine, is incredibly attractive. There's nothing louder than punctuality. Showing up at the time you offered without writing a novel about traffic projects, a kind of quiet power that landfills can't bury. Timekeeping is desire's bodyguard. It keeps small hopes from being bruised. When you appear when you said you would appear, you become real in a world of delays and excuses. The same goes for leaving. Exit at the peak, not the plateau. If you leave while the moment is bright, the memory glows. If you stay until the color fades, the memory dulls. Desire feeds on bright memories more than long conversations. You might ask what to do when nerves start to race. The answer isn't to crush them, it's to contain them. Before you approach, press your tongue lightly to the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. Lower your shoulders by the width of a breath, and exhale a fraction longer than you inhale. It takes seconds, calms your jaw, slows your tempo, and gives your voice, if you decide to speak later, a grounded place to begin. But even if you never speak, this micro-ritual reorganizes your presence. The body notices and the body broadcasts. Use your environment to speak for you. Where you choose to stand is a message. Corners feel like hiding. Thresholds feel like flow. If you position yourself where people naturally pass, a bar elbow, a gallery doorway, the edge of a terrace, you don't have to chase contact. You simply become a point the room has to negotiate. When you step aside an inch so someone can move through, when you hold a door and let it breathe open rather than fling, when you look up and meet a glance at the precise moment the path crosses, you create dozens of tiny interactions that register as ease. Ease is the first cousin of desire. I want you to think of your face as a dimmer, not a switch. Switch faces turn on and off, blank to intense, flat to overexpressive. Dimmers move through shades of attention. When you listen, let your expression warm a few degrees. When you're amused, let the smile reach one side of your mouth before the other. When something surprises you, lift your brows a millimeter before you nod. These nuances keep your vibe textured. Texture is what the brain calls real. Real is attractive in a culture that markets masks. There is also a discipline of attention that makes your silence ring. When the music changes, you notice. When the light hits the glass, you notice. When a friend laughs 2 tables away, you notice. As your attention expands, your body relaxes because it is not trapped in self-consciousness. Self-consciousness shrinks you. World consciousness opens you. A man who sees the world without narrating it becomes interesting without announcing it. Your silence says, I have room for this moment. People move toward room. Respect is the foundation, so let's make it explicit. Silence is not a trick to push someone into doing what you want. Silence is a way of creating safety and space, so 2 adults can decide what they want together. If her signals say no interest, short glances away, closed shoulders, feet pointing elsewhere, you honor that with a gentle nod, a warm expression, and you redirect your night. The man who can listen to no without drama becomes the man people trust with yes. Desire grows where trust lives. You may think that without words you're missing opportunities to show humor or charm. You're not. Humor can be visual and small. When a coffee lid refuses to cooperate, your micro eye roll directed at the cup and then a conspiratorial glance toward the person nearby is a moment. When a playlist throws an unexpected classic between two dance tracks, your slight head bob and little eyebrow lift are a moment. When a barista draws a heart by accident and looks embarrassed, your silent toast is a moment. Micro moments are the currency of quiet charm. They prove you're living the scene, not performing at it. Energy management is non-negotiable. Desire follows vitality, not loud energy, steady energy. Sleep like your face depends on it, because it does. Walk daily like your patience depends on it, because it does. Drink water like your voice depends on it, because it does. Eat like your mood depends on it, because it does. You do not need to be a fitness model. You need to be a stable human. The body broadcasts your life choices. A stable broadcast invites people to step closer without fear. Let's play with a few scenes to install these ideas in your muscle memory. You arrive at a friend's gathering. Pause at the doorway. One slow inhale through the nose. One longer exhale. Shoulders fall a centimeter. You scan the room once, not hunting, just mapping. You move toward the host. Place your hand. Thank them with your eyes. Then you help shift a chair or carry a plate. Not like a hero, like a man who sees what needs doing. When you place the plate, your fingers don't clatter. When you turn, your phone is already out of sight. You lean a degree toward the person on your left. Open your chest. Let your gaze meet and release. If she holds your eyes, yours hold too, gently. If not, you move. You make arcs through the room rather than lines. The room begins to treat you like furniture in the best sense. You belong. Another scene, a quiet cafe, afternoon light. You choose a seat near a flow point, where people pass but don't hurry. Your book or notebook rests at an angle that makes your posture open rather than hunched. When someone steps near your space to reach for sugar, you draw your cup back with a half smile and a nod, as if to say, go ahead. When their eyes catch yours, you let a micro smile bloom and fade rather than freeze. 10 minutes later, when you stand to leave, you slide the chair in with the softest sound you can manage. You exit with the same intention you entered. People notice how you exit. Evening scene. A bar with a friend, low lighting, laughter in waves. You situate so you're not trapped, one shoulder to the room. When someone you find interesting appears beside you, you don't swivel like a spotlight. You let your attention arrive first. If she reaches for a napkin and the stack is awkward, you steady the stack with one finger, not a grab, and offer a glancing look that says, after you. If the moment opens, it will open on its own. If it doesn't, the micro act still reads, I move through the world without chaos. That reading accumulates. Accumulation is where desire is built in public spaces. Texting even plays a role without words, because your response times and message length are forms of nonverbal communication. If you later choose to connect digitally, keep your timing consistent with your real life. Don't answer in a panic. Don't disappear for days. When you do respond, be clear and short, then move it to real life with a simple plan. Logistics spoken briefly are sexier than paragraphs of almost plans. But remember, your silence in person is still the main act. Texting is maintenance, not momentum. Boundaries held kindly are a language of their own. When someone crosses a line, too personal, too loud, too rude, you don't make a scene. You let a small silence land. You tilt your head as if adjusting a picture on a wall, and you shift your attention to a different part of the room. You don't punish, you choose. That choice carries weight because you were warm a second ago. Warmth plus standards is the combination that triggers both respect and curiosity is the engine of desire. Now let's build your 7-day install plan so this stops being theory and starts being your baseline. For the next 7 mornings, take a 15-minute walk without headphones. Feel your feet find rhythm. Let your eyes scan far then near. Practice softening your gaze without glazing over. During that walk, hold your phone in your pocket the entire time. The world will re-inflate your attention if you let it. Each afternoon, read out loud for 10 minutes, alone, letting every sentence finish. You're training your tempo even when you're silent. Each evening, choose one object in your living space, a table, a shelf, and reset it to calm. Your environment is your rehearsal room. Make it teach you stillness. In your next 3 social settings, pick one threshold to pause in for a single breath. In the conversations that choose you, meet eyes, release, and return. In at least one good moment, leave while it's bright. At night, write one line about a micro-signal you sent well. A chair slid quietly, a glance offered and released, a door held with patience. 7 days. Tiny reps. Your body will start broadcasting before your mind remembers the checklist. There's a deeper frame to hold all of this so you don't drift into performance. Think of yourself as a place, not a pitch. Most men try to sell themselves. The wise ones build a place others want to visit. A place has mood, edges, an entrance, and an exit. A place doesn't beg you to stay. It makes staying feel natural. When you cultivate your sleep, your space, your schedule, your small acts of order, you become that place. Your silence then stops being empty. It becomes architecture. People feel architecture. They trust it faster than explanations. If a moment with her begins, eyes hold, steps match, a shared smile cycles. Remember this final principle. Guide without grabbing. Guidance is a shift of posture toward the next good place to stand. A small pivot that suggests rather than commands. A glance toward the window that frames the light better than where you're standing now. You move first, but you keep your pace human. If she follows, your bodies have agreed on something without committee. That agreement is desire's handshake. If she doesn't, you return with ease and no loss of center. You weren't fishing for compliance. You were offering an experience. Offers are attractive. Demands are not. You will be rejected sometimes. You will misread signals sometimes. Good. That's how adults learn. When rejection arrives, let your face stay warm. Let your shoulders stay down. Say nothing. And shift your attention to the next honest part of your night. Your quiet grace in that moment tells the truth about you louder than any clever recovery line. People are always watching how you handle loss. The man who treats disappointment like a passing wave rather than an identity crisis is the man whose presence feels like shore. Before we close, hold this scene in your mind. You walk into a room and you do nothing dramatic. You breathe, you place, you notice, you align. You become the clearest presence, not the loudest voice. A minute later, her eyes find you twice. You didn't perform. You allowed. You didn't chase. You created a climate where curiosity could happen. And when it did, you didn't slam it with words. You honored it with a look that said, "I see you seeing me." There's a spark in that sentence with no syllables. Stay there for a heartbeat longer than you used to, then turn and move with purpose. If the story wants another page, it will pull you both toward it. If it doesn't, your life remains full enough that you don't try to write a chapter that isn't yours. If I had to compress everything you've heard into one line you can carry into any room, it's this. Move like a decision, look like an invitation, leave like a gentleman. That's how you trigger her desire without saying a single word. By letting your body, your stillness, your choices, and your timing tell a better story than your mouth ever could. Try one element tonight. One slower walk, one warmer gaze, one exit at the peak, and pay attention to what changes. When it does, you'll understand why the quietest men leave the loudest echoes.